Yeah,
what's
well,
being
it's even if it
proposed.
gets that far.
How did it get this far?
It isn't anywhere.
You,
No,
the
it isn't
councilmen-
anywhere. There's
the
no action
councilmen
tonight.
have already met. They've had
Why are-
presentations.
Sure, there was input sessions.
Yeah.
So as will be laid out tonight, this is the first closed session we've had in 2 years. There were 49 prior to when I became mayor. And we are trying hard to bring it forward, which is why we told the developer, if you want to have this conversation in town, you need to make sure the city knows what you want to do, meaning the citizens, not us. And that's why she went out and did the things that she had done.
But has she even produced a formal layout plan?
No.
Then what on earth are we doing discussing it?
Exactly.
That's
You
my
guys
point.
are here.
You know it.
we're not discussing it. What we're discussing is if we
You
even
are
want to go
discussing it.
forward
I
with
wouldn't be here if you weren't.
Right. Well, what we're doing
Correct?
is we're determining if the city's even going to
Just
take a
tonight-
position.
I have a question that's specific to that.
Yeah.
In all the improvements we've done in the last 20 years in this city, any good business person, when they spend money on something, they go back and do a post-mortem. Did that decision make sense? Have we ever done that with anything we built in here that went through this council? Why not? How do we know we're going the right direction?
That's a good idea, which is why we called, you're going to hear us call for a study to ensure tonight that we make sure the city is a good idea.
But we need to do that after the fact. I lived here when they put those
Yeah.
8-story
I
condos
agree
down
with
in
you,
the
but
corner,
that's-
and I'm willing to bet there's never been a study to see what financial impact that thing made. And there was a bunch of arguing back then too.
Yeah.
So we should do that for every major improvement we do to this city.
Yeah.
That's along those lines.
And I think it should be done before.
Yes.
Agreed, but it needs to be done after. So
Sure,
for
before
any,
and after.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
well,
does
there's
it-
new teams, new people, and there's new ideas,
Yes.
and that's a phenomenal idea.
Does the timing of tonight's meeting have anything to do with the developer needing to get her funding for her affordable housing aspect? Is that why that's
I couldn't
happening
tell you the
now?
timeline for. We're having the conversation tonight so that we can formulate what administration has the right to do on the behalf of the council.
My concern is that you don't work to her agenda.
Which
We're
is
not.
what seems-
We're working to ours.
Our concern is you work to the city's agenda. And if she's under a tight time frame, then she needs to take a step back, get her ducks in a row, and come back when she's ready to.
We're going to do what's best for the city of
Come
Port
back
Washington,
when
not
we're
for a
ready.
developer.
Her tight time frame
Well,
is
we're
her
not
problem,
used to
not
that.
ours.
Forgive
It
us.
feels like the developer might have something to do with
Yeah.
the timing tonight. It's what it feels like to the public.
Well, you forget I'm a customer there. I've lived here my whole life. Like Cindy Shaffer is a great person. Here, there, everywhere.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
lived
just
here my
talking
whole
about
life,
the
and
affordable
I've been
housing
aghast by some developments when I was on the council when I was in college. I didn't like certain things. I'm still bothered by some of the things that have gone in town, and yeah. But
We just think there's a history of like.
I can't see anything right now. So you could just excuse me for a second.
If you take
Yeah,
a step
Sam,
off the
give my
curb,
retinas
you're
a
in
break.
traffic, so
Mr.
Yeah.
Neitzke, I have a
Important safety
question.
Cheers.
What are the
Hey,
prerequisites
by the way,
for?
hello, and
Hi.
thank you for your note.
Absolutely, thank
nice
you.
to see you.
It's nice to see you as well. What are the prerequisites for us to make this a historic building so it cannot get?
That's
messed
an
with
independent
further?
application process.
So what are the steps in us doing that?
I don't know that. You'd have to work with the owner and then those two.
Okay, because I worked at the Jabberwock Cafe for like 8 years. You came in quite frequently.
Yes, I saw your email.
I don't work there anymore, but it's a slap in the face to these businesses who have donated thousands of dollars to the local community for us to just turn around and do them dirty like this. And I know that's not your fault, but something like this just needs to stay where it's at. Don't fix what isn't broken.
What you need to know, like, no one ever asked, right? So, Ted, I'm speaking in third person. Do I
Sure.
like our city? Yes. Do I like this view? Do I like eating there? Do I like sitting there?
Absolutely.
Do I like what's been redone with it? Absolutely. Do I like our city hall where it is? Yes. Do I like all the development in the different places? We just have to have the opportunity. Our council has to hear and see what those different options are. And
Absolutely.
then what we want to do is we want to put in place the framework to ensure that the developer does what we are willing to do.
I think our
And the
concern is
community
they're
has
not
been
going to
awesome.
listen to us. They never do.
They
Look what
being the
happened down at
council?
Newport Shores. That huge
Yeah.
building is an eyesore. The condos that went up in the 90s are just ugly. It takes away from the view of this beautiful community.
Well, I
It
feel
needs to
like-
stop.
I feel like this is the most honest conversation we've had out of the entire conversation.
We've had conversations.
Of
it
every
just always goes
conversation.
back, though.
Yeah,
They-
so
we get
thank you.
placated.
I think
Yeah,
a
well,
lot of us are not.
what I would ask you to do. You guys are all passionate, and I appreciate it. But you tell us what to think. You don't ask us what we think, so we can never respond except on the defense. And that's why I wanted to come out tonight to make sure that you could hear. Like, we are going to follow a natural process, slow it down, and do it feel, give me one of these.
Mayor,
Yeah, yes.
One of the issues that I see quite often is we get to go in, we get to make a statement in front of the council, and there's no questions. It's not a back and forth. So if what you want to hear is the questions, why don't we set up a meeting between the council and the public, have a referendum, not legal referendum, but just a conversation where we can all get together as a town, as a city, and then ask questions and discuss it. Instead of it being, oh, well, we have to go behind
Right.
closed
Well, we're
doors.
following statutes on open meetings, etc. We can't put. Anyways, that's a good idea. Like a town hall.
Yes. Why don't we have a town hall?
Yes. Well, also give the council the opportunity to review everything, put out a position, and then defend what we want
And
for the
have
city
the
on your
studies
behalf.
or as much as you can, yes.
Yes.
Well,
The more
several of the
information we all
aldermen
get, the better.
responded to my email with their position. Those who are in favor of saving Old Theater Square.
And I
said it
don't
in
know
their
any of
emails.
that.
Yeah.
Nor would I, because
Well,
we
yeah,
wouldn't
it was
we
a
wouldn't
private
communicate
email
amongst each other.
to me,
Yeah.
but yeah.
is there?
Hold on, just let me look at my watch because
Yeah,
I gotta start.
would
meeting.
a lot of this have been some of this, like the angst and anxiety involved, with this been avoided if when the developer had first pitched this idea, they actually talked to some of the business owners. You know, most of the time when you're trying to close a you don't walk in and say, you know, you don't say, well, there's other buildings people can occupy. That's not good business sense.
Well,
And that's causing that. The whole reason everybody's here is because of stuff like that. I think this could all been avoided. One, referendums are always very high on my book, but two, even that simple conversation or a little bit of finesse talking with the business owners here, because some of these businesses are doing really well.
yeah, and what I'd ask for is a little grace, because what I'm going to talk about tonight is every developer who's come forward in the last year and a half, we've asked them to go to the community first, not us. So when they come to us with a proposal this big, of this scale, we want it to go out. And Cindy Shaffer, I thought, and I said it last time, I'll say it again, I thought she was very courageous, set herself up, put out there, here's my vision, here's what I do. You all had input, you all had feedback, and now we as a council have heard it, seen it, and are asking to review it to say, like, here's what's actually palatable. Is 5 stories on that corner palatable up over there for me? No. But unfortunately, I don't vote, I only veto.
Is she taking into account the thousands of dollars that these businesses are going to
I can't speak for her.
But what
My
I'm
job
saying-
is to advocate for us.
I realize that, but my question would be, is that something that would be discussed, because the thousands of dollars that are going to be incurred by having to do new build-outs, like I can't imagine how much it's going to cost Java Doc to have to do it, or the hair salon,
Yeah, and
or
those are-
the
that's-
skincare. Like, that's a lot of money that's not being taken into account, and I get that this could have gone differently if it was just been a private sale, but you're talking sales and
No, this is a significant shift in our city.
Yeah.
And that's why to have the conversation of whether or not we even have, the appetite for it is what we have to do.
I have a question actually to take back behind the when you meet tonight.
I didn't call them.
Okay. But,
They might be
but,
coming to
but
defib
if
me.
we're talking about tearing down, this is her money corner with 3-story counters. I get that. But how much is it going to cost? Hang on one second. Let's say we do the land swap for City Hall, and she builds us a new City Hall and integrates it as part of that. How much is the build out that we don't need to do if we stay here going to cost us as citizens, as taxpayers, or just for the next year or 2 years to operate and build out a new City Hall interior? I'm sure she's not going to do all of that on the interior.
We have no idea.
That's what I'm saying. Those are numbers we need to look at.
And again, Cindy, what a great vision. Come to us, right? But that's her vision, right? What we haven't talked about, like, if we want to sell this. That's a proposal they said to us.
Sure.
We haven't talked about if we want to adopt, like the vision that she showed with the parking lots. Like, does the city want to maintain double-decker parking lots? Like, these are expenditures off of somebody else's vision.
Sure. But
So-
that's a number, though, that the council needs to really think
Well,
about.
that's why
is
we
the
would
build-out.
study it.
Yes.
But I don't even know that there's an appetite for that.
I would hope not.
There's 3 things I wanted to focus on: a safety center, a community center for our seniors,
Yes.
and getting our ordinances fixed, and our lighthouse
Our
painted.
lighthouse painted.
Cindy
Like
Shaffer
right
just
up there.
showed up. We didn't call her. We didn't invite her. We didn't put out a proposal like, hey, we want a big new development in our city.
She told us last night that the building planner invited her.
Well, that's not the council or the mayor.
Yeah.
And we met with her. We saw her vision, and then we said, okay. And she's like, I want to take it to the community.
Well, I
Go
think
ahead.
part of the reason that there's a little distrust, to be very frank, is you're meeting with the anonymous developer. that, and not saying who it was, and keeping that all quiet. There, you've initiated some distrust with the public as well.
See, and I guess I would disagree because we invited them into a council meeting. We invited them into a council meeting and asked them to present that again because we weren't going to do anything without sunlight. So I'm not going to engage in those types of conversations in private or whatever. But we meet with developers and people with ideas in town all the time.
It isn't kept a secret though.
Well, I would disagree with that too. There's a lot of people who come to us and ask, "Can you please not say anything? We want to build. We want to. We want to." That's a lot. And every time, if you want us to do that, then you need to come to council. And that's what we did with that developer.
I probably have done it to more and watched more and had more involvement and engagement.
Then you saw that horrible presentation that was made by that developer's representative.
I was at that one.
Yeah, well, that's why it died.
Yes, and it should.
Can I ask?
So I mean, my point, Kim, is that like you can say those things, but at the end of the day,
I was actually trying to give you
a perspective.
A perspective. I wasn't.
But
Didn't
here's
need it to come
I have all
across
these
as an
people
attack,
around me
but-
on the curb,
Sure.
and I'm getting honked at. So
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, one
But there's a
quick
reason.
question.
where were you, Mayor?
Cherubusco, Indiana. And Planning Commission.
Is that where
30
Park and
years.
Recs was filmed?
But anyway,
Nobody
my
gets that
question
joke?
was simply
That's
this.
I
One
get
thing that's paramount in any development is traffic flow. Do you think the traffic can handle from here what they're
No,
planning
that's why
on
we've
the
got to
streets?
figure it out.
But those are things that you even pursue and examine before you even hold a meeting or have a meeting with them.
Which is why we're slowing it down and we're asking to do
Okay.
that study.
I just asked the
What
question because-
happens when 140 apartment units all flush their toilet at the same time?
Exactly.
We need to know. What happens to Dunwoody Elementary School, TJ Middle School, and our high school if those are built?
They're talking about
I don't know the answer, which is why we want to have the
The other thing
conversation.
this baffles me.
cars, so
And
you've
I've
got
asked the question of many people,
350
what training
cars driving
does our
back.
planning commission have,
7 o'clock
period,
in the
as
morning,
members?
everyone's going to work.
What training do they receive?
Well, that's
And the
why
farm
we have
lands
people on
that
there
are
who are
south of
professionals and
here,
we're moving away from just anybody being on the planning commission. So
The
we have
area-
architects
the
on
area
there,
that I
engineers
live
on there now. I've appointed architects and engineers, people who are city or village planners, and ensuring that they understand development and that they go through boards
The
and
area
commission
that I
training.
lived in had a region 2, which was the Tony's Range. That's where every parent had to go for training, so they understood all this.
Yeah.
They understood all of the things they had to look for.
Yeah.
From what I see from the planning commission here, that isn't the case. I'm serious.
No, and that's why I'm asking for grace. Like, I haven't been a mayor for
and you
42
get it,
years.
and I appreciate you listening. I really do. So
No,
thank
I
you.
think
Sir, can I
Mayor
ask
Jamie
you a
has a
question?
question.
Yeah.
She's
I was a
in the
little
building.
late to the gathering. You mentioned sunlight just a moment ago in your statement, and I didn't hear, why is this a closed session?
because the city has to negotiate. We have to determine if we're going to do it, and then what position we would give the city administration to go forward to negotiate on behalf of the city, and what
Okay,
parameters they would do.
You just said negotiate. I mean,
Well,
I'm not-
negotiate's the wrong word, but we have to give direction
have
for.
you
Well, let me finish
considered-
because I don't want it
sure.
to be off the wrong word.
I got you.
We have to give direction to the administration. The council does as to what
Okay.
to do.
Fair
So
enough.
do a study, no to developing here, find out what this costs,
Fair enough.
etc. And that's a normal process.
It wasn't a Freudian slip there about the
No,
negotiation.
I just have a quick
It's just a
question.
cigar.
We've talked a lot about having the buildings, the businesses within the building be moved to other locations and stuff like that. And, you know, Cindy Shaffer was talking about how she'd be willing to help them and everything like that. But I've seen the plans and stuff like that. There's no way these small businesses would be able to move forward with that kind of income and rent and stuff like that. So what happens to the businesses that can't sustain themselves with the new buildings? They just shut down?
I hope not.
They're just done?
But I mean that's not within my purview, and that's what's
the fear
frustrating.
for a lot of us.
One
not
of the
in
things
buildings.
that's special about Old Theater Square is it has small office space, and that's how we can afford to have our businesses there. I
Otherwise
think
we
that
have no business.
Gertrude's building is usually 100% occupied all the time, so that's showing us that there is a need for small suites, small office.